Video game tutorials are something of an inconsistency, aren't they? Cuphead has perhaps the most infamous tutorial stage of any game, and it's what I would commend as the quintessential example of a tutorial, with the moveset being graffitied onto the backdrop. Try that in Birmingham, I dare you. I like to call this the non-intrusive tutorial, where the prompt simply appears on screen whilst leaving the gameplay to move at your pace. But extra credit to when those words invite a video over to accommodate visual learners, but stay in the peripheral vision for those who just want to get on with the day. I love Mario Odyssey's video examples, but wouldn't it be better if they played Family Guy clips the entire game instead? Well, no it wouldn't, but it would be better than Sonic Heroes tutorials. This is the first console game I remember playing, and I loved it. Near constant speed, insanely vibrant environments, distinctive set pieces dementia couldn't even forget, and 36 minutes of dialogue that brought said disease on in the first place. I like to call this the intrusive tutorial, professionally. Off the record, I think it's a sin that deems being called much worse. They are like road blockades, by stopping you progressing with mandatory dialogue, but I bet they would be toll roads if they could. Fun fact, this is actually the same playthrough I started as a kid. The tutorial's just still going. I can't even say, hey, at least there's good payoff for all this explanation, because 20 years later and I still don't know how to perform the Rocket Excel properly. And I'll admit, you can spam this dialogue away. If you like being drunkenly disorientated, get your ID out so I can serve you. Overall, it's just a massive time waster, and it takes a minute without skipping dialogue to explain that walking into an obtusely labelled gate changes your character. Show, don't tell, introduce them slowly with a little obstacle course to actually show what the character does, which, fun fact, the level actually commits to that exact idea later, making this entire first minute entirely pointless. And just to rub salt into your eye with a nail and a hammer, during the actual game there's hint/tutorial orbs that explain concepts without stopping you. Actually, because I want to mention this too, the tutorial with Sonic's crew is optional from the main menu, but if you play as Team Rose, it's obligatory. So whoever you are, you need to deal with this at least once to complete the game properly. All teams share the same core levels, but Team Rose is the easy mode, but the third team on the team select, meaning most people will have probably played as one of the other three teams first, likely Team Sonic as he's the franchise main character from the game's box art, effectively making this a mid-game tutorial, and my nominee for the dictionary definition of utterly pointless. It's about time we hyphenate that officially.
Wow, you're a quick learner! Excellent!
Wow, you're a sarcastic little asshole. So, Sonic Heroes, as much as I love you outside of the tutorial, I think we need some time apart. Hi there, it's lovely to be with you. Sorry I complained about Sonic Heroes tutorial quite a bit for the last couple of minutes. I'm just petty, because apparently I wasn't a suitable candidate for the job, despite all the employee training I went through. Let's change pace and talk about some good tutorials real quick. Super Mario Bros. Is infamous for guiding the player through the first stage, but it doesn't actually say anything. It's not a tutorial, which makes it one of the best tutorials ever made. We Love Katamari just throws you into a little arena, puts those controls on screen, and says, yeah, you figure it out. It doesn't sound very helpful, but it is genuinely very intuitive, especially for a game with such a unique, different control scheme. And then there's Team Fortress 2. It has a tutorial for 4 of the 9 different classes that goes through the basics, but doesn't teach you advanced features, so you can find those out yourself in regular gameplay, and that's just satisfying. Emphasis on 4 of the 9 classes. This isn't actually a good tutorial at all. In contrast to that, what would you think of a tutorial that covers every basis, from the most fundamental mechanics to really advanced moves that you don't even need in the game later on? It might be a little overwhelming, right? But hey, it's appreciated. Now, why have I told you that this tutorial doesn't actually tell you how to perform any of the actions you need to do to complete it? Also, the tutorial is unskippable. Also, there's a time limit to complete it. That's how you get the game known as... Driver. Right, let's try and make this quick. A small concrete room with no ventilation and constant fumes from this car to fill it? It's like I never left Birmingham. So it turns out, not only is this a driving lesson, but also my first gig at being a delivery driver, because there's a list of items I gotta pick up on the side there, like handbrakes, 180 turns, slaloms. Is that a fish? There's no celebrations for completing these actions, nor a formal guide to take you through them in order. Objectives are just checked off as performed. I'd say that's okay, you know, you can learn these things naturally from name alone, but like, no, seriously, what the hell is a slalom? I can donut, I know what a 360 is, I know what a handbrake is, it's literally one button that makes you stop. I cannot, with any piece of rational logic, figure out what a slalom is, and don't pry at me to check the instructions manual, I did, but the most I learned is that Mentos is actually pronounced Mentos according to its website, and while the American website is ecstatic to tell the law to confectionery enthusiasts, the UK website is miserably passive-aggressive about this fact, on par for Britain, and honestly, I don't blame it when it's the sponsor for goddamn Driver on Sony's PlayStation console. By the way, every time you bump into a wall, there's some jester who always has some kind of comment to make you feel insecure. If he's not calling me a softcore psychopath, then it's usually a... which could be a compliment. Like, goddamn, that crash, I will get so much insurance fraud from that. I appreciate the company, but if you're going to say anything, please tell me what a slalom is! No, but actually, a slalom as described in the small print of the manual, several pages after the control section, is the act of weaving between poles while going down a track, as seen in the sport of slalom skiing. No, I actually only found out about slalom skiing specifically because of researching how to complete driver's tutorial. Good sport to watch. I don't think the driver tutorial ever watched it. I wish the game actually trusted itself in this description, because I can't seem to find what Iol's slalom is even from, even with the store assistance aid. I don't know why the game won't just let me have this, and that's part of the tutorial's main problem. This freaking time limit is the run killer. Slalom aside, once you understand every other move, you can get those out of the way decently consistently, almost every time. Emphasis on almost. Sometimes your tyres are just more worn down than your soul, and a textbook example of a 180 is apparently at too acute an angle for the invigilator to agree. Meanwhile, on a different run, I sneezed onto the controller before doing literally anything and somehow crossed off 2 techniques. If anything, I probably coughed up blood onto the shopping list and that got mistaken for the sign-off, but I'll accept it. Usually, at least on my route, I can get by whilst barely saving about 20 to 30 seconds to perform the slalom, which isn't comfortable, and that's assuming the game will even recognise the move in the first place. That's also assuming I don't slightly nudge into anything on the way. I don't know what's fiddlier, turning in driver, or, like, the actual fiddle. Yeah, 4 crashes, and that's also a restart. If that's a problem to you, well, you're not special. It's a problem to everybody. Trying to pass this tutorial feels more like a puzzle game than any kind of driving experience I've ever had. And that feeling doesn't go away when after 23 minutes you suddenly beat it on accident. I think I just got a degree in vehicular manslaughter. What did I do differently this time that I didn't do a dozen goddams ago? How is the slalom a technique worth mastering? Compare that to, say, a 360. It takes good knowledge of combining speed with the handbrake to pull it off in a compact time span. The game accepts as, like, cool. The reverse 180, you need to basically master spatial awareness while moving fast in reverse. So, like, just go have intimate eye contact with the sun at that point, and tell me which one had a bigger impact on your life. With those in mind, the slalom feels like I'm trying not to wake up the 9-decade-old woman next door at 5 PM because I don't want to get sued. This is slow and dull and... Oh, why didn't they ventilate that room? Oh, it just keeps coming! So, now that's done, I'm free this evening to party. Bring alcohol. I'm not driving you home. All I know of Driver is this tutorial, so I'm actually very excited to see what the rest of the game has to offer. No, I'm not. There's mission modes, but I think you owe me a favour before I owe you, and a free ride, hopefully, into oncoming traffic. Oh my days, man, look at all these like 1080 reverse Slalom handbrake tricks I found on a YouTube video. Anyway, here's what I'm up to. Ugh. So, you start in a dollhouse-sized alleyway? Excuse the crushing, I learned everything I know about the third dimension from Driver. I get it's a free ride and not a mission mode, but there is nothing for tourists like me to do or even look at along this strip of fermented concrete. Life is what you make of it. I'm gonna slalom the shit out of all the trees. Overall, I'm too scared to try the mission mode, I'm too bored to keep on the open road, and I assume everyone here has insurance because the felony meter hasn't budged at all, despite... yeah, that. I'm a rude boy. Did you know this game has 6 sequels? It hurts, man. It hurts. This series generally reviews well too, so I've got to assume there's some good stuff outside of that brown cube. But the journey to get there isn't worth the price of admission. If you want a fun, mission-based driving game, I highly recommend Buzzing Cars. It's a free download these days and runs on pretty much any and all computers made since the Bronze Age. This game is quintessential to my childhood, and it really frames why I specifically can't stand Driver. It's a loving, welcoming experience, eager to share its cheerful personality, and also has good controls. There's also the Koro Q series, which is way more racing focused, but a phenomenal take on a very stylized and unique racing adventure. Some entries even have explorable hub worlds. I'd say just like Driver, but no, these are actually good. They have varied environments, NPCs, it's literally an RPG built around a racing game. That's so different and interesting to immerse yourself in. Hell, the Cars video game based on the Pixar film has mission modes, racing, and an open hub world to explore. It's doing exactly what Driver set out to achieve to a humiliatingly better standard, and that game doesn't have curse words.
That red car's drunk more than me, you know.
And that's my tutorial to you, to play better games. Now, you can click this button here to subscribe! I don't know what command that is on your system. We didn't have the budget to get dialogue for, you know, every console. And if you press one of these, you can get to a stage that's a bit like this video. Different, no. Imagine if it's like the same video. I should just re-upload these to like extras or something, and then be like, yeah, watch it again!